gone through all the technical stuff, like I always say, even with IAQ, it's pretty easy to get the guys to understand the technical information because a lot of the guys that we deal with every day are technically oriented. They may have been techs in the field before. Now, the sales guys, it's sometimes a little bit different story. They're not as technical, but I think we've gotten to the point now where everybody understands the microchip, how this works, how the Intelifan controls the fan after the call for heating and cooling. But the challenge that we have in the field, even with IAQ, is breaking technical information down into layman's terms. So let's do that for on a replacement call. So you're on a replacement call. You and I have known each other for 15 years now, and we've worked back and forth on different ways of presenting technical information. It's no different with Intelifan. So there's certain questions when you're talking to a homeowner, you're sitting at the kitchen table, and you're talking about replacing their system. What are the things that they're asking you, basically, what they want out of a new system?
Okay, Steve. So when we go on a call, as long as I can remember, we get on a call and, hey, look, what are you looking for out of a new home comfort system or heating and air conditioning system? In some way, shape, or form, we're going to ask that question. What are you looking for out of in your new system that you didn't have in your old system? So we get pretty common answers. I want to lower my power bill. My electric bill is too high. I want to hope this system lasts longer than the last one did. And then, of course, the third one would be, well, I hope I don't have the breakdowns that I did on the last system or in some way, shape, or form. So,
yeah, so usually not usually, all the time, when you're on a sales call, or any salesman for that matter, we're always talking about what happens during the call for heating and cooling. So let's discuss that first, because that really doesn't change. And then how do we transition into what happens after the call for heating and cooling?
Yeah, I mean, if you're like in my market, even the power companies are incentivizing homeowners for replacing their system, and they know about SEER rating, they know about the HSPF, and they know about the AFU ratings, and all these are while the system's calling for heating and cooling. But one thing that they're not doing is talking about, well, what happens after the call for cooling? Because we normally just shut the system off. And we noticed, and that's what the power companies and we're seeing now, is that there's a lot of energy left on that system. Just like after the call, we know that there's free energy. Once you cut that compressor off, all we're running is the blower motor to get that remaining last few minutes of energy off the system into the house. That's a big deal because we've already paid for most of that. So the minimum of, over the life of the system, minimum of $2,000 is what we're going to end up saving over the life of the system in result of using that remaining energy and letting that system remain off longer for a longer period of time before the next call for heating or cooling.
So how does that address the three things that people are asking for?
Well, I mean, if I can keep the system off longer every year than my competitors, then I'm obviously going to have a lower power bill. And if I can keep it off longer, I'm adding all that off time and all that less time I'm running the system to the end of the life of the system. So I'm adding 2 to 3 or even more years left on the system. So,
and San Diego Gas and Electric has proven that with the Intelifan.
Yep, it said that the Intelifan, because of the additional time we're keeping the system off, we are actually increasing it by about 62%. And we're not losing any comfort. And when your system is running, you're buying power. When it's not running, you're not buying anything. So we want to keep it off less as long as we're not losing comfort and we're not causing challenges that we are going to get callbacks on.
I like the way you just broke that down, because that's what makes sense to a homeowner. If we went through all the technical information about a microchip and how it works and algorithms and stuff like that, we're just going to go, unless they're an engineer or something, they really want that information, it's just going to go over their head. So basically, if you're talking to a homeowner and say, look, when your system's on, you're paying for power. When it's off, you're not paying for power, but there's still energy left in the system. And that's what the Intelifan does. It takes the energy that's left on a heating coil or the heat exchanger, and it's putting it back in the house where it belongs, because it's already hot and cold. So when the thermostat's satisfied, it's still hot and cold for a certain amount of time. But we're maybe not sales guys as much as the technicians. We'll get this, Eddie. They'll say, Well, we already have a timer on there. It's already set for 30 seconds. It's already set for 60 seconds, but we can change it if we want. And my question to them that I'd like you to address as well is, what time do you set it at and why? So when someone's a technician or a sales guy asks you that question, so why do I need the Intelifan that's already got a limit, not a limit switch, for a fan control on there? How do you address that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the idea is there's going to be different amounts of energy left on the system after each time the system calls for cooling or heating. So we need to be prepared to run that blower motor different amounts of time. And I can tell you, we don't have to ever, as thousands and thousands of calls that I've run and been privy to and part of, I've never had to get technical with a homeowner. They get it. They understand, if I want to run my system and get more life out of it, I've got to run it less per year. That's what we all do. So it fits into everything we are focused on when we go to our sales calls or service calls.
Right. And we have a great video. I'm not going to show it now because we've showed it on other training sessions. And they can download this and put it on their iPads and show it to a homeowner. But everything that we're talking about now, this video is awesome because it takes all this technical information and puts it in layman's terms in a couple minutes. So explains the whole thing for them if they want that support. Right. And you know, some on the technician end, sometimes they just want to hit a button and show somebody something. Sales end, we got more time. You know, we're sitting at the kitchen table. I still think this video is powerful. Do you use it on your sales calls?
Yeah, we do. We have it on our field service management software. When we get to that point where we're talking about it, we have that embedded in that product on that site. And yeah, it's real easy, and it just simplifies it. And sometimes we don't need to say it. We don't need to get that deep into it. And there's plenty of guys that have the ability to communicate this through we have a great brochure, but we'll get to that later. But just depends on the type of person as to whether or not we need to get that deep, because it's not that complicated for a homeowner to understand, more than what we kind of make it more than what it is in reality.
Okay, and I think that graphs like this make sense to a homeowner. So once you get the initial investment, they're saving every single year. Can you explain these numbers here?
Well, I mean, the first year you got to buy the product. Or in the first couple of years, you got to buy it, and then you are going to have to recover that loss or that expense that you had to put the microprocessor on or the Intelifan on. And then over the next 10 years, you're going to increase that profit by operating the system less. We had something similar to this when we switched over from mercury bulb thermostats over to digital thermostats. This is how we explained how beneficial it is, because what we're doing, we're running the system less hours per year. And every homeowner got it. We were selling those thermostats, by the truckload, because of how we're able to explain what we're doing. We're saving them money, and we're running the system less, and it's going to last longer. That's how the thermostat industry took off like it did.
And that's where we call this return on investment. It's no different than anything that people purchase. Well, it is different. Some things, there's never a return on investment. A car, for example, you buy a car and it starts to depreciate in the minute you buy it. With this here, it takes about a year, depending on what they're priced at. But this graph here is showing it's almost paid for itself in the first year, $11 on the second year, and then it's all profit from there. So it's a great return on investment. So that's one of the things that you need to be talking about on the sales calls as well. Is there's a return on investment to getting higher SEER rating. There's a return on investment in getting your system maintained twice a year. There's also a return on investment to have an Intelifan in there. So we have a brochure that covers everything as well. So that's something that's available. So we got all these tools just like any other product. So we got, I'm not showing here on the screen, but we do have a brochure that all the guys have if they're in the field already using it, that goes right along with the video itself. So how about transitioning Intelifan from the IAQ conversation? Because I'm an IAQ guy. Dynamic Air Quality Solutions, that's the name of our company. So let's talk a little bit about you're on a sales call, and you've talked about IAQ already. Now some people sell it in a package where they have different packages and it has different IAQ products in each one. Some guys like to get the box sale first and then talk about how to protect the system afterwards. I've heard you do it both ways. So what do you suggest?
Well, we've got tons of UV lights and filtration in the market now, and we're going back to those homes. And a lot of times all we're having to do is saying, you know, really, we're keeping this system clean, perfectly clean all year long. Now's a good opportunity. Like a lot of homeowners, they put a microprocessor on to get more of that remaining energy off the system into the house. And again, it goes back to when you're running the system, you're buying power. When you're not, you're not. And it is a perfect, we don't see any pushback from that. But then when we are offering the system or offering an IAQ package, it's just the next add-on. It's your A, B, C, and D package. Your B package is IAQ. Your C is, hey, look, we add intelligent fan control to the C package because we know that by keeping the system incredibly clean, we now can get more energy off the system so it doesn't have to run as long. And we get more life out of the system. So it complements it in a very good way. And we've seen, like I said, no real pushback in how people were receiving it. We want to have that.
Okay, great. And then we also have the lifetime warranty. Now, this isn't something we do promote lifetime warranty to the consumer, but there's an extra advantage to the contractor that they're not going to say to the consumer, not because we're hiding something, but it doesn't benefit the consumer at all. So tell us a little bit about the lifetime warranty.
So, I mean, I've had people that have said, well, if it breaks down, what's the warranty? And most have never heard of a lifetime warranty. That's very impressive for if the manufacturer knows it, the contractor knows it, you know it, and it's got a lifetime warranty, how good do you suppose it's going to work? And they always say, well, pretty good. Well, I agree with you. So if in the fact that it does break down, we want to, or the manufacturer wants to make sure that, A, you get one to fix the problem, and number two, they want to give you an extra one to recover that lost revenue for running that callback. Because callbacks to me since day one was a dirty word. We don't want them, and we don't want to have to deal with them in any way. But if everything has a propensity to break down, man-made, if it does, we want to do everything, or they want to do everything they can to recover any kind of lost revenue from that callback.
So that's what's cool about this is when you tell the homeowner, you just say, yeah, it has lifetime warranty. And the rare occasion that it might break down, and we've got thousands of them out there, and it's one of those things that we hardly ever get a call on. The couple of times we have gotten a call, it was either wired wrong, and it still worked. It just wasn't wired right to turn it on. So follow the wire diagram, and you're good to go. But in that rare occasion, if one does break down, what you're saying is, what we say to a homeowner, it's got a lifetime warranty, so sure, we're going to take care of this for you. But the contractor gets two, one to replace, and then the other one to sell at a later date, and that should more than recover for what it took the 15 minutes to replace the other one. So that's a nice return on investment there as well. So I just want to make sure that we cover the warranty in this session, because we cover it in other sessions as well, but it's something that they need to be promoting to the homeowner because this is new to the homeowner as well. Actually, any fan control would be new to the homeowner. A lot of them don't even know there's a set time delay. It's never explained because it's a given, so this is variable. This is where it's different. And something I really want to make a point of, Eddie, is when the guys say it's already got something on there, or now on the other end, the intelligent systems already take care of this on a variable method like we're doing with the Intelifan. But everything else that's legacy wired, this takes it and gives it that intelligence. It's not just on for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or 120. The question I always ask a technician when that comes up a lot in our tech classes. Well, I already got it set. Well, what does the installer set the timer at? They just leave wherever it's set at the factory. Well, if it's set at 30 seconds, but there's 2 minutes of energy left, why wouldn't you run it for 2 minutes? Well, what if it's a 130? What if it's 3 minutes? up to 4 minutes. So, there's a lot of variables here. So the important thing to understand about the Intelifan and the warranty is 100% works. It works variably. It's different than with any other set time delay, and it's huge benefits to the homeowner. And on these sales calls, it's a huge benefit to the contractor to set themselves apart, which everybody's talking SEER rating at AFUE. We're floor savers. We have the best installers. Everybody's saying the same thing. This is a way to set yourself apart. So, and I know that's what you're doing in the field, and I really appreciate your time, taking the time, Eddie, to go through this with the sales guys. But if they haven't seen it already, we have another presentation that we go through for the service guys as well. So here again, thanks for your time, Eddie, and we'll see you in the next session.